Hello, how are you in this absolutely fantastic day? So today we're going to be doing lesson 13, the problem set in lesson 13. Before we do, let's talk a little bit about lesson 12. Lesson 12 was an interesting one because, and I apologize for this being so sloppy. This is just my answer key from yesterday. So for yesterday's lesson, for lesson 12 in decimal fractions, basically we were doing things that we already knew how to do, right? We were taking two fractions. These are decimal fractions, and we know they're decimal fractions because there's a 10 and a 100 on the bottom. That's what makes them special decimal fractions. You can turn these into decimals. If they had different numbers on the bottom, you would not be able to. So these two bottom numbers are not the same. Again, this is stuff we already know from adding fractions in previous lessons. We also know that we have to make both of the bottom numbers the same. We know that, right? And so it's always easier to take the smaller one and turn it into the larger because you can just use multiplication, right? 10 times 10 gives you 100, right? Whatever you do to the bottom, you do to the top. Again, these are things we've talked about many times. So now that we have changed this to this, we don't use this anymore. And we just add these two because the two bottom numbers are the same. 70 plus 30 is 100. And this is kind of a weird one in the fact that it's 100 over 100, which equals 1. But this was yesterday's lesson, right? So lesson 13 is taking it as these things often do, and they're expanding it a little bit further. It's still the same basic idea. Okay, it's just being expanded now that we have mixed numbers. And we would like you to do a little bit more with showing the decimals. Yesterday's lesson, we wanted you to kind of wait until the very end product before you showed it in decimal form, 53 hundredths, 0.53. Okay, so you get the idea, right? Until you got the answer, and then you can share. So today we want you to do that a little bit earlier than you normally would. So let's kind of skip over A for now. With all due respect, let's skip over A, okay? On the problem set side like this. So they're kind of doing the work for you to start off with, right? So we've got a 10, a 100, right? And then 10, and then they did the work for us. So they already changed 1/10 to 10 hundredths. So this is kind of it's good to go. What we would like to see today is this. We would like to see the final answer, which is easy enough, right? Which in this case, 2 plus 5, I'm not going to use this line, is 7. And since they're both hundredths, 10 plus 3 is 13 and over 100, right? So this is very similar to yesterday's lesson, right? Except for the fact that it's mixed numbers, right? So what we like is for this entire thing to all be shown as decimals. So in other words, 2.10 hundredths plus 5.03 equals 7.13. So what we're doing is we're just taking each of these fractions, we're putting them in mixed decimal form, which again, we should know how to do. 2 and 10 hundredths, 2 and 10 hundredths, plus 5 and 3 hundredths equals 7 and 13 hundredths. So again, this is stuff we know how to do this already. We should know, but this should be something we should, but let's do one together, and then I'll have you do one, okay? So again, what we have here is we have something that needs to be changed, right? The 10th needs to be changed to 100. So we'll do that first. You write everything that I write, right? The 7/10 changes to a 70 hundredths. Now we're going to rewrite into decimal. Now this is an extra step that did not exist yesterday. 3.24. 3 and 24 hundredths, 3.24 plus 70 hundredths. Notice there's no whole number here. Plus 0.70. Okay? All right. So there's two different ways we could write the original, which is just the 3 stays a 3. 24 plus 70 is 94 over 100. And once you look at it like that, you're like, oh, it's easy. Oh, okay, 3.94. So yeah, it's definitely a little more leg work than you would have been doing yesterday. It's showing more what you know, but it's showing things that you already know how to do. We already know how to show this like this. We already know, and again, we know once we change it over, we don't use this anymore. The 70, we know how to represent that. We know how to add 24 plus 70. There's nothing here that you don't already know how to do. It's just combining in different ways. So I would like you to do this one on your own, okay, right now. And also, well, I'll tell you what. You could remember the difference between the ones from yesterday's lesson and lesson 12. The ones at the top, the answers were regular traditional fractions, and the ones in the bottom were GTOs, greater than ones, right? So these bottom ones, I suspect, are the same thing. So why don't we do this? Before you do this one, why don't we do one of these ones below together as well? Okay, why don't we do this second one right here? We'll do B at the bottom. Because I can already see it coming a mile away that this is going to end up with a mixed number with a GTO in it. Oh boy. Here we go. So again, this 10 needs to be changed, right? I barely have enough room to do times 10 times 10, barely. Okay. So let's rewrite this over again. 9 and 90 hundredths. Okay. Okay. Now these are two numbers that we can add. And if you want to rewrite it again, this one at the top you can, or you didn't have to. It's up to you. Okay. Now, let's put these in decimal forms. 9.90, that to that. Easy enough. Plus 2.45. You write what I write. Now we're going to be giving two different answers. But let's hold on. Let's hold on. Pump the brakes. 9 plus 2 is 11. 90 plus 45. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Yikes. Right? Yikes. Okay, so what this means is this. We've got a whole number part and we've got a GTO, and that's going to make things a little bit interesting, okay? Now, one way you could do this is just do, like, if you change this in mixed decimal, it changes to a 1.35. We saw that yesterday. Okay? 132 over 100, 1.32. 148 over 100, 1.48. Do you remember this from yesterday? 157 over 100, 1.57. So what we could do is this. We could just convert this to this, right? And then just add these two things together. 11 plus 1 is 12.35. Now, there are different ways we could do this, and there are different methods. This is one method that you could do this if you end up with a GTO. There's other things you could do. You could decompose. You could do other things. If you discover a different way that you like better, there's more than one way to peel an onion. All right, this is an official. These ones in the bottom are onion questions because there are going to be some different ways you could tackle these. So I'm going to have you right now. I'm going to have you do this one, and this one. Okay, all 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, and I'm going to have you stop the video, and I'm going to have you do this again. This one will be very similar to this one. These ones down here, things are going to get a little funky because you're going to end up with a mixed number as an answer with a GTO in it. So you have to do something to that GTO. But I believe in you. I have faith in you. Now, Mr. Brown, what about the other side of the paper? This side of the paper is completely different. It's kind of crazy that this is part of the same lesson. This is still lesson 13. It kind of blows my mind because this is just simple addition. All you have to do is just line up the, 6.4, 5.3, and you add them. 6.6, like that's all. And then you make sure in your answer that the decimal is in the same spot. But this side is nothing. This side is nothing. So, here's what I will. I will make a deal. There's 8 on this side. I give you permission to cross out any 2 that you don't want to do. Cross out any 2. Any 2 of these, and then just, because again, the other ones won't even take you that long. It's just like line them up and add them, regroup if you need to. It's addition. So cross out any 2 and then do the side when you're done doing this side. Okay? I have faith in you. You guys rock. You can do this. And have an absolutely fantastic day. Bye-bye.